Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
Woo-hoo!
Woo is right.
Hump Day!
It's like Kermit, isn't it?
Hooray for Hump Day!
Why not?
Yeah, hey.
Is that like
Gotta get excited about something.
Kermit the Geico?
Actually, it's more like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know you did voices.
A couple of
You
them.
dabble in a few,
I'm certainly not Rich Little, that's for sure.
But he's amazing.
Oh, he was. He was amazing.
I remember he would come on the Tonight Show and do Carson, and if you looked away from the TV screen,
You didn't know who was talking.
yeah,
Well, there was Johnny or Rich Little. Yeah.
he's that
yeah.
good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
And he had the gestures, the mannerisms down.
Yeah.
Right? He would stand there in front of the audience and do all the Carson gestures with his hands,
Yeah.
and the way Carson would move about. And he would just break up the audience and keep them in stitch. And Carson would be rolling
Johnny
in his
almost
seat.
beating his head on the desk
God,
laughing
it
so
was-
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great.
Oh yeah.
I love
Then
those.
you have. Then you had what was it? Foster Brooks. That
Oh, God.
he only did one imitation. That was being drunk, but he was really good at it.
He was that consummate drunk.
Yeah. I remember one time watching the Tonight Show, and Foster Brooks was on. And he was talking, just regular talking.
Right.
And he was telling Johnny the story about how he had a buddy of his that he ran into that was a pilot. And he
Oh, no.
and
I know where this is
he says
going.
as they were taxiing out to the runway, he had Foster Brooks get on the intercom.
Oh, my God.
He says pandemonium broke out on the flight as he did his, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be taking off. Which way are we going?
God. And he would,
You can't do that today.
no, God, no. Oh, yeah.
Nowadays, you'd have 8,000 attorneys lined up to,
Well, yeah. And this is probably before YouTube, but I know there was somebody had actually managed to get a recording from Frontier Airlines, and apparently there was this one particular flight where the pilot come in kind of hot on a landing in Denver, right? Which is a tough airport to fly into, and so they bounced a little bit on the runway, right? And so when everything kind of calmed down in the cabin, the flight attendant comes on the air. She says, "Well, when Captain Kangaroo is
Captain Kangaroo.
done bouncing this plane all over the place, we're going to try to taxi on in to the right jetway." But it was just
Wheels
so
were
funny.
made from the same material
Oh,
that makes
my
Super Balls out of.
God. But I have been on some of those flights into Denver, and it's always tough.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were showing on the news the other day. I forget where it was, but it was so windy. They were showing this Southwest airline flight coming in. The guy was coming in at like a 30-degree angle because of the wind shear. He was trying to put that thing down, and he got too far down the runway and just gave up and went back up again. I've been on a few of those aborted landings, and it's like, wait a minute, the ground's getting further away. What's going on?
Yeah, boy,
here?
and they kick in those, they pull that.
And the plane shudders because it's struggling to get enough airspeed back. It's like, oh boy,
Yeah.
where are we going?
Another go around.
Yeah, another go around.
Yeah.
So, how was your week? Having
Very
a good week?
good. Yes. How about yourself?
Not too bad.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I just got.
Stayed busy. Helped a buddy of mine move over the weekend, so that was a fun way to spend a weekend. Thankfully, it wasn't 127 degrees outside.
Yes, we've had great weather for that sort of.
Yeah, I
activity.
told him. I said I want to thank you for deciding to move in March and
Right.
not August or September.
Right.
And he politely informed me that it's a 16-month lease, So if he decides not to renew, it is going to be August. It's going to be August.
Well, you tell him that renewal.
I'm going to be out of town.
Yes.
August of 2019. I don't know where I'm going to be, but it ain't here.
I will be persona non grata. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'll be somewhere else.
Oh my goodness. So
Wow.
yeah, didn't get to play any golf. Didn't get to watch much golf. Was but hey, still had some fun. What I did see, I liked. I mean, Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the last group featured the last group in the World Golf Championships in Mexico City.
Yeah.
The last group featured the youngest player, Shubhankar Sharma from India.
Okay.
Is 21 years and a few months old, and Phil Mickelson, who's 47 years and several months old. The oldest and the youngest in the field were in the same pairing together in the final group. So that shows you how cool golf is.
Yeah.
You can oldest guy in the field is competing with the youngest guy in the field. They're battling this out to see who wins. That's pretty cool. That's neat. I mean,
it is
because a lot of you hear about how golf it's a game for your entire life.
And that kind
so to
of
speak,
and that kind of proves
and
the
it
point.
shows it. Yeah. I mean, you could even be competitive.
Yeah.
As you get much older.
Right. So did you read today's USA?
I
Today?
did not read today's USA Today. What are they talking about?
Oh, the Florida Club.
Oh, the Florida Club gets new look.
Yes.
Oh, so my buddy Craig Dolch was out there. Huh?
Yeah.
All that's missing this week are flags in the holes. Okay, but yeah, they're going to reopen on this coming Saturday. They started taking tee times and reservations for tee times and stuff on the 1st. So they started last week, and we'll see. I mean, they closed almost a year ago. I think it was. I want to say it was May of last year. They closed, hoping to open in November, and
didn't happen.
Didn't quite work out.
No.
Had some weather. Some weather hurt them. Some construction delays hurt them. I think part of what happened was after the hurricane came through.
Right.
A lot of the stuff they needed to finish the clubhouse and everything else kind of got diverted to fix other people's roofs or other where their dwellings versus I mean, a golf course is important, but
right. Living accommodations really take supremacy.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're living in the clubhouse. I mean, there might be some people that, live in the clubhouse, but you never know. But yeah, they're up and ready to go. 22-year-old course got a major facelift. Be interesting to see just how it looks. Like I said, I've been out there. I went out there a few times when my office was way out there, and I drove by just to see how it was looking, and it looked like it was ready. We were ready to play golf on it. They just had to finish the clubhouse and the cart barn and a couple other things. But so they're ready to rock and roll now. $82 to play on opening day. But hey, it's season, so they're all down here, clogging up the tee sheets, clogging up the fairways, getting ready to go. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
have to send for a lot of people when they hear the Florida Club and they think about the Florida Club, they think about the pig farmer that used to be out there.
Right. That was always a lot.
That was not happy about them not offering him money for his property, and played his loud music and loud country music because apparently it made the pigs happier, made the meat sweeter, and that was his. That was his reasoning for all that. But he's long since gone, and that's those days are gone. Now if you have one of those hats.
Which hat is that, pray tell?
When they first started, on the side of their hat, they had a little pig with a circle around and a line through it. If you have one of those hats,
it's a collector's item.
From back in the day, it's probably a pretty good collector's item. I used to love those. I was like, that's just too cool.
Pig hats.
No anti-pig hats. They served a lot of bacon in the clubhouse.
And if you caught that on the wrong afternoon with the
wind blowing the wrong way,
it was not friendly.
No, it was not friendly at all.
Not friendly at all.
No,
the pig
no.
farmer at Florida Club.
No.
Club, so.
Hey, your connectors are all RCA connectors.
I just had some stuff in a drawer and I
He wanted to see if it would work.
typical last minute. I'm like, I was going to do that thing because I wanted to do my Facebook Live.
Well, is that an iPhone?
No, it's an Android.
Android? Okay, perfect. Then a regular 1/8 inch connector
Right.
will work because that's got this double ring, but you need a triple ring.
That's a triple.
Triple ring is for Android. And those are RCAs on the other end.
Yeah, I need 2 of those, right?
Yeah, just a double ring.
I thought the
During
RCA
the break, I might be able to go grab my connector out of my car
Nice.
because I've got a.
Got a mail to mail? You need a mail to mail.
I got the 2 mail ends. One that goes into my iPod, and the other goes into the jack on my radio. So that'll work.
Yeah.
we can try that. That'd be
We'll
awesome.
have to try that.
Oh, very
cool.
cool.
Yeah, but so Phil Mickelson goes out and shows him how it's done in Mexico City. Kind of nice. It's nice to see the old guy win.
It is.
Call him an old guy. He's younger than me,
But yeah, you know what that means. But that's still cool.
it's not
though.
not often 47-year-olds win on the PGA Tour, especially in an event like this. I mean, this was the top 50 players in the world, and you got to be playing pretty well to get in the top 50. And then
to begin with, right?
Yeah,
right.
And what was really funny was I was watching some of this when I was watching this in this kid Sharma from India, and they were showing him hitting a couple of shots. And a friend of mine, he says, "I don't get it. Well, this guy's here, but Tiger Woods is sitting at home." I said, "Well, Tiger didn't qualify. Well, he should have invited him. I mean, wouldn't you rather see Tiger than this guy? Well, wait a minute.
I want to see somebody compete.
This guy darn near won this thing.
Right. He deserved to be here.
So, he earned his way here.
Yeah.
He's not calling in a favor. He's not here because,
because he knows somebody.
Because he knows somebody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, he certainly earned the right.
Yeah, Phil's last victory was the Open Championship in 2013.
Wow.
That's 5 years.
That's 4.5, going on 5 years, man.
I guess that's kind of long, but
that's a pretty for Phil. That's a pretty big drought. I mean, he's won.
Phil Mickelson is going to be like Tom Watson. You know that long, effortless swing that he has, right, will always work.
Yeah.
And think about how long he's been out there. He's got like some issues, I guess, arthritis and some things, right?
Yeah.
But has done really well, and he's always going to sneak in. He's one of those swings where, he'll be 55, and it's like all of a sudden, oh look, Mickelson shot, 7 under at the Masters or something, and it's like, hey, come on, Phil, like I love that swing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of guys don't. There was a guy on my Facebook page, and I know he's not listening right now, but he's a former basketball buddy and played a couple years in front of me in Hawaii, but he just does not like Phil Mickelson, and he's he's like one of the only guys that actually despises Phil Mickelson, and I'm like, I think he's left-handed too, and I'm like, why don't you like him? And he's got to be a story, got to be, somewhere he met him or something happened that came off funny, but it's like. He had
money on him, and Phil missed a 2-foot putt.
I don't know, but I just happened to be home on Sunday, and he was like just going bananas on social media and how much he disliked Phil. And I was like, I have never heard anybody that disliked Phil Mickelson.
Yeah,
it's very unusual. But
and the whole ending was very exciting.
I didn't see the ending, so you can
Phil shoots 65-66 on the weekend.
Okay,
but Justin Thomas, who won just 2 weeks ago at the Honda,
right.
Standing in the middle of the fairway on 18, knocks it in the hole for an eagle to tie Phil and force a playoff.
Okay.
I mean, what a way to get into a playoff. You eagle the last hole to jump into, and then Phil catches you, and you wind up in a playoff, and Phil birdies the first playoff hole, and Phil parred the first playoff hole, and Thomas. It's interesting. You turn around and They played usually they play the 18th hole.
Okay.
Yeah, again, but they didn't. They played the par 3 17th hole first, and then they were going to go to 18. But Phil won it with a par on the first playoff hole.
And that was it.
And that was it. But it's Phil's 43rd victory on the PGA Tour. Not too shabby.
That's a lot of wins.
And Justin Thomas, how do you not bet on this guy right now? I mean, he just won the Honda. He came in second here and shot 62-64 over the weekend.
Wow. That's golfing.
That's
golfing your ball.
That's knocking the ball around pretty good, I'll tell you. Yeah. And then in a week that Phil wins for the first time in almost 5 years, Michelle Wie
comes out of retirement.
Whose last win was the 2014 U.S. Women's Open at Pinehurst, had fallen all the way to 105th on the LPGA board. That's
a slide.
Way down there. She's been playing around with different swings, different putting styles. I mean, if you watched her putt a couple years ago when she was like at a 90-degree angle,
painful.
You kind of wonder how
flat back.
You kind of wonder how she hit anything after that. But
I still don't know how.
She won the HSBC Women's World Championship in a dramatic fashion. She knocked in a 35-foot birdie putt on the 72nd hole to close with a 65 on the final day. She's 20. She's still not even 30.
That's crazy.
I mean, you think about how long she's been playing.
Because she started so young.
And she's 20. She's only 28, so she's still well short of 30. And you think somebody that's gone that far up and come that far back down again, and it's like, wow. So congratulations to both of them.
That's great. Phil Mickelson. I mean, two good stories.
You don't think about calling Michelle Wie an old timer, but
gosh, she's been out there 10 years. Compared
to some of the girls that have been winning, some of the women that have been winning on tour, she is kind of old. I mean, so many of them are under 20 even.
That's crazy.
Anymore. So
it's a time of year. Going to get warmed up, start getting the juices flowing. Everybody up north with that cold blizzards and stuff that blew through. Sorry to hear about that. Should have come down to Florida. And
3 inches an hour they're saying they're expecting.
Yeah, that'll get your toes a little chilly.
Get your toes a little chilly.
That'll get your toes.
Well, let's check with our guys on 15 while you are getting those cables for Arlen.
I'll run out and get those cables for Arlen. We'll see if they work.
We'll give it a shot.
130 yards now. Bill's got a very tough lie here. Looks like we have some sort of sea monster in the water hazard here. I believe that's a kraken, Bruce. It looks like he's going to go with the 9-iron. That may not be enough club. Well, he's definitely going to lose a stroke on this hole.
And welcome back to the Wednesday Night Golf Show, the Hump Day edition.
The Hump Day edition.
We
are here Wednesday night, Stuart, Florida.
Not all night long, but yeah,
all
hour long from a little after 6 right till 7 o'clock.
Right.
On
Right
the dial, 1450, right?
Yeah.
Right up until when Julia Sansevier comes dancing on into the studio.
Dancing.
Dancing.
You must say dancing. It sounds so much better that way. Dancing.
So we're trying out our Facebook Live now. We've got our connectors.
Yeah, I think everybody can hear us now.
So we'll
We'll
Facebook,
find out. And
Yeah.
they can text you, right? Or
Yeah, they could comment right there. And,
Sure, if anybody's
and let 'em
listening out
know.
there picking up on this, if you can hear, now you should be able to hear, me,
Hear
James, Frank,
And you can
Anybody
hear
that calls in.
anybody
or-
calls in.
right, and all the goofy stuff I do on the
There you
the
go.
audio board.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll go through that. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I know when I walked in, I got in there a little late tonight. But so the Florida Club is going to open. You were discussing that whole
Yeah,
thing.
yep.
So
Opening this Saturday.
$82.
Reopening.
We talked a little bit about the pig farmers. I was talking to somebody today in my lesson net, and they were saying, how the lies in Florida in the winter are so tight, compared to up north in the summer, because the grass doesn't grow good. And,
Yeah.
and I said, well, that's why, go play the Florida Club because, it's very unusual for anybody in golf, right, to get to play a course that's been closed for, 2 years now or a year and a
Florida
half?
Club?
Yeah, no, what is it, year and a half?
Almost a year.
Almost a
Yeah.
year. So, that's really good. So I think $82 is the right
This
number.
time of year, that's about the going rate early in the day. And yeah.
Abacoa is
Yeah.
over 100,
Oh, yeah.
PGA's 100, every
Yeah.
place is in
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And then, the local clubs, the champions and the Hammock Creeks are all, in that
They're in
65,
the
70
they're
range.
65 to 70 give
So
or
it's-
take.
it's
So
not-
yeah,
it's
they're
not-
not way out there.
They're going to hold
Yeah.
it for a while, but
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm curious to see what people think about that golf course as it starts to, local people start to play it again.
And this weekend we move our clocks.
So now the 3 o'clock
Ahead.
tee time is a little better.
So yeah. So now you'll have now you have that extra hour of daylight after work.
All right, so now I got
So-
a question for you based on that daylight savings time. There is
Okay.
a bill before the Florida legislature
To not move it at all.
to once it becomes daylight savings time to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
But that actually has to be passed by some sort of federal,
It's going to screw up the whole East Coast.
right? Because we won't be on the same time as
Exactly.
Georgia, some of our
yeah.
neighboring states.
Yeah, which
so
whatever.
Yeah.
I think we're all used to it. I don't like it. I think it'd be a lot easier if we just kind of kept it.
I think the whole country should just
More and more
Stop.
people
Yeah.
the
There's no need
last
for it
couple of
anymore.
years
No.
have been grousing about the time change.
no need for it
more and
anymore.
more
It
of it.
was designed for farmers. They had to work longer in the fields. I mean, it doesn't really.
Right.
I mean, I guess farmers out there working probably like, what are you talking about? Of course, it's important, but for golfers, I think
farmers don't even need.
it's really not.
They got
I mean-
the lights now on their tractors,
Yeah.
and they use GPS. They can actually drive with more precision now with
Yeah.
or without light.
yeah.
well, that's true too.
Yeah.
So Florida Club's going to be open. So that'll probably be. We'll see how that affects all the local courses, right? Because I'm sure the Hammock Creeks and Champions have been doing well because one course has been down.
You got to go somewhere, and they're
Right.
close enough that it's not that far out of the way to go there to play.
So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. And but again, good golf is always good to have.
Yeah,
so.
we might just have to wait for Michael Jordan's place to open and go play out there.
Oh, that's the one we want to go play. Grove 23.
Yeah.
Talked about it a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
So we're gonna have our caller calling in here.
yeah. Speaking of courses opening and stuff in Brevard County, Brevard owns 3 courses. They like St. Lucie County owns Fairwinds,
Right.
and Martin County owns the Martin County
Right. Right.
the
Public golf.
the three 18s that they have here.
Right.
And in Brevard County, they own a golf course. I think it's called Sykes Creek, which is up in Merritt Island. They own Spessard Holland, which is out on Melbourne Beach, and they own the Habitat, which is in Valkyria on the very south end.
Have never been
by
to any
Palm
of
Bay.
those particular courses.
Very good tracks. Very, very, especially Spessard Holland is a lot of fun. And my late friend Charles Ankrum designed the Habitat, which is near
I've heard of
Valkyria
the Habitat.
Airport.
I heard that's pretty good.
And that's pretty good as well.
Right.
Well, Brevard County wants to get out of the golf
Industry,
golf management business.
Right.
And a friend of mine who I know through, he's written me a few times. We've emailed back and forth. Excuse me, talking about different golf stuff. And his name is Stephen Proctor, and he's on a committee that is trying to find a way to keep the courses open, operate them as a nonprofit so that they don't have to charge quite so much for everything, and can be a little more
501c3. Right?
Yeah, it can be a little more affordable to the golfers and all, and give everybody a more options. And there's some stuff going on up in Brevard County the end of next week, and Stephen wanted to call in and talk a little bit about that. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. It's great to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. How are things?
Things are very well. We
no snow up there in the north end of Brevard? Up in Brevard County?
No.
Just
it
checking.
It was a cold and rainy morning for golf today, though. That's for sure.
Oh, so what exactly are you guys trying to do, and what is the county actually thinking about maybe closing some of these courses, or what?
The county wants out of the golf business, and that's the thing they've made clear.
Okay.
They want out of it, and they've tried to get out of it before. They leased the courses to Integrity Golf Management, and that company, unfortunately, at the time they chose them, was in the process of splitting apart, and things ended up badly, and the situation only worsened. And so now it's kind of from their perspective at a crisis point.
Okay.
And there are some commissioners who just want to make them into what he calls passive parks, close them and do nothing except mow the grass and let people walk their dog there or whatever. So a couple of us that have play at Spessard or play at Habitat, in particular a man named Tom Becker, have been leading an effort to form a 501(c)(3) that would take over management of the golf courses in cooperation with the county as a public-private partnership.
Okay.
And this is something that's done in Baltimore City. They have 5 courses that are maintained this way and have been for 30 years and are still well-maintained and affordable. That's where I come from, and I've been back there even recently to play them. They're still very nice. And we're hoping to be able to convince the county to give this option a try here in Brevard County.
How how receptive do they seem to be, in the early stages of this?
Well, they're very resistant initially because it's an unknown, and we're an unknown.
Okay.
But the more we've spoken with them in one-on-one meetings and things of that nature, the more they've been very open-minded about it as a realistic possibility. And, of course, we've gathered together some people to help us, some leading citizens, Frank Vega being one of them, a former publisher of Florida Today, and Steve Lamontagne, the general manager of Suntree, is advising us. So we've gotten some main people to help us out,
I went to high school
I think
with
they're giving us some real consideration now.
Oh, cool. I know Steve from high school.
I know Steve from professional golf, and he used to rip everybody for years and years.
Yeah, no, he's a wonderful player and a very nice man and a great golf manager. What he's done for Suntree is amazing. What we really need, and the reason I wanted to call, was public support. We need golfers who play golf in Brevard County, whether they're public or private, to show up at the county's workshop on this issue, which is 1 p.m. March 15th at their offices on Fran Jamison Way in Vieira. And if we turn out hundreds of golfers, that will give them, visible evidence of how much people care about the outcome for these golf courses. And I think it would be very persuasive in getting them to give us a try. And, we also, among our supporters, we have Billy Horschel, who grew up playing the Habitat, and as you know, is a pretty accomplished professional player. So we're working hard at it, and I just wanted to call to arms to all golfers in Brevard County. Come out on March 15th at 1 o'clock at the offices in Vieira. Everybody for Spessard, everybody for Habitat. If you want to keep these courses going, we need to show up and tell the commissioners we love them and that it's important to our lives.
I wonder about the 501c3 organizations that do fundraisers and use golf as a way to raise money. How well you can network with those opportunities to let the decision makers think about that as well.
Yeah,
that is a great thought, and it's something that has occurred to us as we've discussed it. Mr. Vega, who's helping us with this effort, is a board member with Promise Brevard, and we're looking to try to put together a big fundraiser for Promise Brevard at the Habitat as a way of demonstrating publicly, the role that a golf course can play beyond you and me and the people who love the game going out and having our round on it with our league or with our friends or however we play.
Hey Steve, this is Arlen Bento. I'm co-host with James, and I wanted to ask a quick question. Are you planning to try to take over all 3 properties, or are you focusing primarily on the Habitat?
We're we're focusing on the two southern properties, Habitat and Spessard, because the northern property, which is actually Savannah's golf course, is owned has a homeowners association attached to it, and they are making a similar effort to obtain their own golf course and make it more part of their community association run by people in their own community.
So that's that's smarter for them to just kind of step in and protect the community.
They're the one that honestly has had the most challenging financials. And part of the reason the three Brevard golf courses have not succeeded and that caused the county to be in this concern about the financials is that the money situation at the Savannahs has been very poor over a very extended period of time. It's been more up and down at Spessard and Habitat and more within the range of achieving success. If you define success as a decently maintained course that can be played for an affordable amount of money by a large number of people, and that makes at least break even or enough money to reinvest in the golf course, and that would be, what we would define as success.
What kind of structure is the rates to play there? I mean, just are they all the same, or is the Habitat? What's it cost to play the courses off the top of your head? Do you know?
Well, in the high season now, Habitat would be in the 30 to 40 range, depending on the day you were playing and the time you were playing. Spessard would be in the 25 to 35 range, similarly. But a lot of the people that play there are what they call advanced green fee members, where you buy a special deal that entitles you to a certain number of rounds at a certain price. And so I'd say a lot of the play there is along those lines. It can be quite affordable. I'm an advanced green fee member at Spessard, and as I think I mentioned to you, I run a league over there. So I play there a huge amount, and I probably played around $20 per round last year. And that's, honestly, that's part of the financial challenge, is that we need to get more money per round than that if we're gonna make a go of it. And I think the golfers realize that. But what they most want is their golf course to be open, to be well maintained, to be playable, and to be reasonably affordable. And obviously, that's a below market rate everywhere you play golf.
It's so funny you mentioned that because James knows. I mean, you know me from years ago when I was the head pro out at PGA, and I was I was part of the initial group that started the whole project, right? And there was this whole discussion, and this is 20 years close, right?
Yeah.
But how do you create affordable golf? And it's kind of an oxymoron. I mean, affordable golf's really tough, and I know, and I'm sure it's changed.
A lot of expenses, yeah.
Well, I remember from budgets, and again, I'm going back 20 years, but
yes,
the courses, to put one person out on a golf course, the costs were close to $30 to $32. I mean, cost. Mm-hmm. The facility. So you look at maintenance, lights, staffing. I mean, of course, these numbers can all be adjusted depending on what you're trying to offer. But so when you're putting people on a golf course for $30, $35 a round in high season, it's not going to make it.
Yeah,
and that's the challenge.
So I think we all recognize that we have to get either more rounds and more cost per round, both to even out the equation. And the great thing about what we're offering, which is the 501(c) approach, we don't need to make the 25% that a company needs to make to stay in business.
Right. You can break
invest
even.
all of that money back in the improvement of the golf course and the repayment of the county's investment that we're asking for to help us get started. So, in that way, the county gets out of the golf business. They have membership on the board. They have, a big say in what the restrictions are on how the nonprofit can be managed and all those things, which are obviously necessary from their standpoint as a responsibility measure. But they get to preserve two facilities that are great for their citizens,
sure,
and also for tourism and for general economic viability, without a huge amount of risk to them. And the prospect, Baltimore's thrived. They have 5 courses to take care of, not the 2 that we're aspiring to take care of, and they've thrived for 30 years that way. And it got to the point of not only being able to break even, but to make enough profit that they could reinvest in the golf courses and start things like programs for young kids to get them interested in the game and things of that nature.
So there is a successful model that you can point to say.
Yes, that's exactly what we're building our whole thing around, is the Baltimore model. And it's been done elsewhere besides Baltimore, but that's one of the oldest and most successful examples. And I happened to live there at the time and got to see it unfold.
And over in Melbourne Beach, there's not a lot other than Spessard Holland and then a little further down the road, Aquarena, to play golf.
Right. And Aquarina's, you and I were having a conversation about executive courses, what
Yes.
actually constitutes an executive course. I would say that Aquarina is quite a bit closer to it than Spessard is.
Yeah.
But in any case, no, there's Crane Creek, too, which is not very far away, but across the causeway.
It sounds like
But
there's
there's
quite
not
a bit
many
of
great golf
Not
choices
that many.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Habitat, I mean, that's down in, in Valkyria by the airport.
Yeah, no, that's, from a standpoint of the beach residents, that's a little on the far away
Yeah.
side from their perspective.
Yeah.
But that is a wonderful golf course, and, it's a beautifully designed golf course. And
Yeah.
one thing that makes these worth preserving is both of them architecturally are, gems in their own category. Habitat as the championship golf course with a very demanding layout that even Billy Horschel tells me he still finds challenging to play, as good as he is. And Spessard being a course that's more in the category of the sporting course, which is not long, but very crafty and difficult for its length. And so they have two contrasting sorts of styles of play, and those, Arnold Palmer, being the designer of Spessard, and it's quite a lot of fun to play both of them in a different way.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And Spessard Holland, that's been around for a long time. I mean, I played that 30-some years ago when I was in high school, and it was an older course then. So
I've played golf all over the country because I was a newspaper editor, and I moved from Baltimore to San Francisco to Texas to Florida. So I've been in a lot of golf communities, and I'll say this, I have been in none that are more fun communities of golfers than Spessard. There are the people there. We go out to dinner together. We socialize together besides playing golf, and it's just a wonderful place to be a golfer, and that's what we're trying to preserve most of all, is that sense of living in a nice community and having a sense of togetherness at one of your local places, which happens in this case to be a golf course.
in our audience that's listening down here, Martin County's been talking a lot about what they want to do with their golf course.
Similar story.
So you've kind of got, this may be something that's on the horizon here.
This is a really important point, and I'm so glad you brought this up because I wanted to mention it, which is that, if Brevard County were to decide to go ahead and close its courses, which would be an incredibly tragic decision, and that's why so many people need to show up on March the 15th at 1 o'clock in Vieira to say no to that, then, that's where, that's going to set a trend that carries down other counties that say, well, hey, Brevard did it. What's the problem with us doing it?
Yeah.
And that's where
That's
I think
very
golfers
true.
need to stand tall at a time like this and say, no, our recreational facilities are important as your boat ramps and your softball fields and whatever else. So,
Oh, yeah.
Which all have fixed costs and all
Yeah.
don't really create a lot of revenue, but are part of
Yeah.
everyday living.
Yeah.
And that's just
Yeah.
part of
How
they
much
create zero revenue.
Yeah,
They have
I was gonna-
only cost.
Yeah.
Golf brings in revenue.
Sure, and
You
that's
know.
that's a very good point. So right now, you're just trying to get the word out, letting people know, and your meeting again is March 15th. Is that
Yes,
what you're
March
saying?
15th at 1 o'clock, the Brevard County Commissioners are having their main workshop on the future of the golf courses. And basically what happens there, no vote is taken, but minds are made up.
Right.
And what we really
Yeah.
feel like is necessary is for the golf community of Brevard County and for any other person in whatever county they happen to be that cares about the future of public golf to come out and say public golf is critically important to the state of Florida, each and every county, and each and every city.
I love it. That's great. Well,
Well,
we'll do
Stephen,
whatever we can.
Yeah, we'll keep the word out there, and hopefully we can, get some people to run up your way if they have to. Hey,
Say a
I
few
mean, like I
words.
said,
Yeah.
you're a golfer. You don't always just play in one county. You travel around. You
pay
go play a
attention
few
to
places,
everything.
and
Pay attention.
And yeah, it's like you mentioned, it's a trend. You don't want to see someone down here point to that and say, "Well, look what they did," and it wasn't the
Exactly.
best for golf.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm really, really grateful, and
You're very welcome.
I wish you the best with your show.
Okay,
Thanks again,
thanks a lot.
Stephen. Have
Thanks
a
for
great
calling
night,
in.
and
You too.
keep me posted, and best of luck.
I will do that, Jim. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Well, we're gonna take another break.
Back
We
in
get
2
back,
minutes.
we've got more golf to talk about. And welcome back to the Wednesday Night Golf Show, Hump Day edition. Hump Day. The USGA and the RNA, the Royal and Ancient, came out with their long-anticipated distance report. Now, anybody that's watched, man, if you went down to the Honda and watched how far these guys hit a golf ball, and it's not, you think about how far it is, and you hear these numbers like, oh, he led the field in driving with 320 yards.
Right.
But how much of that was roll? How much, Well, the USGA and the RNA, there's been a lot of talk about dialing back the golf ball, trying to do several other things. Well, the USGA and the RNA have been testing on 7 professional tours, and on Monday they published their report. The report, which began in 2015, let's see. It says here, past reports chronicle distance increases of a steady 0.2 yards per year.
0.2 yards.
0.2 yards, dating back to 2003.
Destroying the game.
So you think about that. That's 15 years, 0.2 of a yard per year.
Not very much.
Add it up, it ain't even 2 yards.
Not even 2 yards.
Not even 2 yards. The 2017 report shows, this is last year, shows a year-over-year average increase of more than 3 yards, with the most significant jump coming on the Web.com tour, where the average drive increased by 6.9 yards. That's a big jump. But even then, it's not even a club.
No.
I mean, 6 yards.
Half a shot.
Okay, do I hit 8-iron? Do I hit 7-iron?
Do I choke down? Do I?
It's not like, gee, I got a wedge instead of a 5-iron now. It's not that big.
So this, you know what, this is a great talking point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I think statistically, the way they measure these drives, right? I think they do a much better job.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that when they measure the distance numbers, they're only using a hole or two on the course.
They usually use 1 or perhaps 2 holes.
And I know that they're doing standard deviation too, because they can't take every great drive and every poor drive, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be some kind of mathematical, statistical analysis of this. But the bottom line is the clubs are better.
Yeah.
The ball is harder.
Yeah.
But it's not really making that much of an impact.
And these guys are in shape. I mean, you look at the guys.
Tremendous
If you went
difference.
out to the Honda and you looked at these guys, I mean, there's a fitness trailer in the parking lot.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you, Lee Trevino never stepped foot in a fitness trailer. Craig Stadler probably never went in a fitness trailer.
Well, don't pick on those poor two guys.
Ray Floyd. I mean, a lot of these guys, they weren't lifting weights and working out and
bourbon and cigarettes didn't count.
Exactly, and watching their diet and everything else, so that they could gain that little extra that they needed.
The swings are better. They're stronger. They're more flexible. There's going to be a yard, but pull up the scoring averages. Pull up what they're shooting. The numbers aren't that different.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of the people that
think
are
about all the variables. I mean,
it's still an incredibly hard game.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Web.com tour, they said 6.9 yards. All right. Well, the holes they measured this year,
Where were they?
what were they? Were they the same as last year? Were the weather conditions the same as last year?
No.
Was last year, did it rain?
Was it in Denver or Utah or someplace at elevation?
And it was wetter and the ball didn't roll, and now it does.
So all the information is basically arbitrary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, the game is still really hard. Golfers in general don't really train golf. Like, I deal with this every day, right? I mean, I train people pretty much year-round, right? And it's amazing to me how many people show up and their knowledge base for golf is so small, and they talk and they act like they have all this, and they don't, And it takes so much to be so good at this game. It's funny. I was having a conversation with one of the kids I was training today, and he got to go to the Honda for the first time.
Yeah.
And he was fired up. because this is a kid that's got a lot of talent, but not quite sure he's young and not quite sure he wants to play. A lot of kids go through that, but he went to the tournament. His dad's in insurance business, so he had tickets, on 17 or 16. He was sitting there watching, and you know what he said? I couldn't believe how many pros hit in the water on the bear trap.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's a kid that never been, and now he's watching the best players in the world, right? With all their fitness and great clothes and tight pants and like
belt buckles, really cool belt buckles.
Movie stars and Hollywood, they're all there, right? And they're hitting balls in the water, and he's like, they all hit in the water. I go, it's because it's hard.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, how good is your club and how good is the golf ball? It's still tough to put a swing on it when you have wind and variables, and you got to aim at a hazard and move it onto a green. That is the hardest swing in all of golf, and that bear trap shows it. So, I don't know. Some of this distance number, it's like, I want to know how much did it cost to do that analysis and do that study. And they probably spent millions and millions of dollars, and they should have sponsored kids, and they should have take that money and done something with it.
Yeah.
And maybe help the Brevard golf courses. And
exactly.
It probably cost $3 million to do that study, and they could have take care of one course and help people play more. So
yeah, I mean, like it says here. Now the web.com tour numbers are had the biggest jump. Well, the web.com tour doesn't have as much rough. They play more open golf courses, and it says here that the players that have advanced onto the PGA Tour from the web.com tour, their numbers go down
because the tour is tougher.
The setup. Yeah, the setups are tougher. The courses are tougher. Maybe they're smarter. They're playing. I can't just bomb it out there. Go find it and hit it again.
That's another good point too. I do think that the players are longer. I think overall, most of them are much better athletically and they're stronger and they have better golf swings. And some of them that are really long, like, okay, so take Justin Thomas, right? Who pound for pound has got to be the longest hitter. If you can hit it as far as Dustin Johnson, and you're 8 inches
50 pounds lighter,
50 pounds. It might be 75 pounds. I don't know what it is. Maybe 100. But okay. But if you hit it that far off the tee, is he really hitting driver on every single hole? There's no way.
Yeah.
True. If they can hit it 320, 340, the holes that they're measuring, they're poking it out there. But go. I haven't seen a stat track on some of the rounds they played, but a lot. I mean, I see a lot of 3-woods, a lot of position clubs. The highlights will love to show when he drives a par 4, but he's probably hitting hybrid and 3-wood or 5-wood off of most tees just to keep it in play so he can control his game. Because it's not. We all know, you can drive it far, but if you're in the woods, you're not in the middle of a fairway. It's really not worth that much. The risk reward is not there. So,
it says. I mean, they said on the PGA Tour and the European tours, the two biggest tours on the planet, from 2003 through the end of last season, driving distance increased an average of 2.2%.
2%, which, based on 300 yards, is still that's
6 yards.
Yeah,
but like you said, that's not much. That's not enough to say we got to dial the ball back 20%.
So anyway, if you're listening out there, the point is keep swinging, keep playing, buy whatever you can to make you hit it further so you enjoy this game and don't give up on it.
Yeah. And if you don't have anything to do and you want to support golf, go up to Vieira on the 15th, which is next Thursday, a week from tomorrow. Go up there, support the Brevard County golfers, and tell the commissioners, to listen to Stephen Proctor and his group, and
hopefully save some golf.
Give that a try and save a couple of really great golf courses.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody on Facebook who's watching, thanks.
Good night,
See you guys
everybody.
next week.